Welcome everyone to the City Advertising and Promotion Commission meeting for March 29th at 6 p.m. in the auditorium. Carol, would you please do the roll?
Jeff?
Here.
Patrick?
Here.
James?
Here.
Nick?
Here.
Autumn?
Here.
I'm here. We have a quorum.
Okay. We have our minutes to look at and approve.
Move to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll give everybody a second to read through them. Any discussion on these? More time?
Just a touch.
Okay.
I mean, my name's misspelled, but
Oh, we're
on the old business agenda,
Slane. Okay, sorry about that. I'll get
that's
it
okay.
corrected.
It auto-corrects it. So, everything else looks great.
Everybody's good? Everybody's okay? All in favor of accepting these with the correction?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those are done. Sign those. Okay. Scott? Oh, wait, sorry. Public comments? Let's do the public comments, and then I'll have Scott come up. Do we have public comments? Please state your name, your business, and your address, please.
Got it. David Evans,
Do we have somebody keeping the clock? 3 minutes for us.
I promise it won't take 3 minutes. David Evans, with co-owner of Wanderoo Lodge and Gravel Bar. Just wanted to reintroduce myself to you guys. Sent in an application to volunteer for the commission several months ago, and just wanted to say hi again to everyone. I've spoken to a couple of you that have called me and asked me questions, and just wanted to extend the opportunity to all of you to call me at whatever point or come by the lodge and chat if you have any questions about my potential spot on the commission. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, David.
Scott, you have the financials? Oh, sure.
I don't know if you were here this past week, but we had 3 events here in the auditorium. And I couldn't have been prouder of our staff and with Ron and all of the crew working together, whether it was providing food for the artists or parking, working with the city. It was a phenomenal asset to our town. There were so many people I would scan, and so many people were happy, and I felt like we've done what we were set out to do, and that was to bring people to Eureka. And it was such an enjoyable time for me that it just kind of revived what we're here in our purpose. And I just want you to know that I'm proud to be a part of this staff, and you should be very proud to be a commissioner, because I saw a lot of happy faces this past 7 or 8 days, and I hope we can keep this momentum going, but it sure is good, and our tax dollars reflect that. So I just want to thank you very much.
Yeah, just stay there. You got financial report. You got financials for us? Thank you for your comments as well.
We're going to go, by the way, thank you for coming today and spending your time. We all have families, but this is important, and I appreciate your time here. I think all of you, in your packet, I have labeled the January 31st financial with the number 1 on the top right corner.
Let me
And
just go ahead and make a motion to approve the financials so that we can have this discussion.
Sure.
I second.
Okay. Go ahead. We'll stay in discussion.
A cash balance at the end of January 31st, 2022 was $1,443,554.21. If you look at this next historical category for January 2022 versus January 2021, on food and beverage alone, we collected $72,240, which is an increase of $28,129. The same increase applies with lodging. We collected $72,268, which is very close to being the same numbers. I checked that twice, but it is accurate. The increase was $32,913 in that category. Overall, our total collections for January 2022 were $144,508, which is an increase of $61,042. That's a large increase. Down at the bottom, we'll compare our actual to budget. For food and beverage, you'll see the $72,240 actual to budget of $43. So we had an increase of $29,240 in collections compared to budget for food and beverage. Under lodging, the $72,268 actual compared to budget of $43,000 is up $29,268. So basically, at the bottom, our year-to-date collections of $144,508, and our total budget for both categories was $86,000. The total increase of actual over budget was $58,508. On the back of that packet, I know Ms. Slane is interested in categorizing our sales as reported by vendors. And if you'll look, I've categorized the food, and under the second column, the lodging, and you'll see the tax remitted and the gross sales to the right. So for January 2022, we had reported sales of $4,817,100 with a tax collection of $144,508. And I know that Mr. DeVito had asked in the past how much of that is delinquent collections. Of that $144,508, $35,000.36 represents delinquent collections. Okay? Any questions on January?
You're doing a great job.
Yeah, it looks excellent.
Thank you.
I mean, this is perfect.
Ms. Autumn, let me say this, and I'll say it to all commissioners. And we are looking at revamping our tax collection report, because there's only two categories. There's lodging and food. But as you can see, there's, maybe 12 different categories according to the ordinance. We're looking at revamping that, but right now, I know the businesses well enough that I can categorize them into these 12 or so categories, and I'm consistent with that. So that if this business categorizes himself as a cafe, and they are a cafe, I will make sure on my spreadsheet that they're cafe as a report throughout time, so that the data remains the same.
Yeah, you've been absolutely impressive with this budget, and I've been super thrilled to see where we kind of started and where it's going.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It means a lot. I guess we'll move on to the February financial statement, which is listed as number 2 in your packet. I highlighted it with some orange highlight. The bank balance of February 28, 2022 was $1,512,617.12. Looking at the next category, which is February 2022 actual to budget, our actual collections for food and beverage was $56,976. The budget was $35,000 for that time of year for this category. That's a $21,976 increase. The lodging actual was $37,216. The budget was $35,000. The increase was $2,216. I checked that figure to make sure it's right, the $37,216, and it was, so they were real close. Total collections for February of 2022 was $94,192. Total budget for the income section for food and lodging was $70,000. The increase overall was $24,192. If you look at that next category, that's comparing year-to-date collections for 2022 of $238,700 to budget of $156,000. That's an $82,700 increase of revenue over budget, which is pretty good. It's phenomenal, really. The next category, historical comparison. If you look at the actual numbers for 2022 comparing to 2021 under food and beverage, we had a $17,357 increase on the food and beverage line. On the lodging, we had an increase of $10,836 compared a year ago. Total collections were $94,192 for February 2022 compared to $66,003 on 2021, which is an increase of $28,189. The total collections, that would take in consideration the 2 months, January and February. We have a $238,700 collection for as of February 2022. In comparing those 2 months of January and February 2021, there's a $149,470. That's an $89,230 increase. So we continue to see substantial increases in sales tax collections. And so far, as of right now, I ran a report, and the collections year-to-date have far exceeded what we would have collected in March alone. So we continue to, and typically the first quarter is your slowest quarter of the year. So,
Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, I have
Discussion?
this one. So I'm just kind of comparing January with February with the restaurants and lodging just as a whole. And why do you think that February we're like half for lodging? That just seemed odd to me. Or do we collect a lot more in January, or is that just the way it fell?
remember, we had a lot of bad weather, so the collections that you're seeing for February are
For
January.
January?
Yeah, we're a month
Okay,
behind.
okay.
So
I
this
gotcha.
was a
Okay.
weather-related issue here.
Okay,
I'm
I
pretty,
gotcha.
I thought about that myself.
Yeah.
Because I looked at that and thought, what happened here? We had
Yeah.
a lot of bad weather.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
That's what that was.
Yep.
And if you look at the very back of that packet, I also included the breakdown of sales for February by different categories and the gross sales column there on the right. And the delinquent collections was $16,115, and we had an overall gross sales of $3,142,647 reported. So
Yeah.
on number, there, I also ran a report, and it's listed as number 3 in your packet, and it shows January and February consolidated to kind of give you an idea that we're combining these two reports. It makes it a little easier to understand for me. And you'll notice our income for the 2 months has exceeded budget by $82,699.99. So this is good information to read, to know where we are right now. I will say that I have spent a lot of time and effort meeting and talking to our local taxpayers. And having worked in the restaurant business my life with my family, I know how hard it is, whether it's lodging or food and beverage. And I enjoy talking to everyone and trying to help them understand the policies and the taxation that a lot of people just don't understand. And I would say 99% of the time, they are willing to understand and conform, but a lot of times they just really didn't know. And so I'm continuing to work with our taxpayers, and to this day, we probably have 3 or less delinquent taxpayers right now. And when I took the job, it was right at 40. So everybody knows what we're supposed to do and our obligations, and and are happy to help, really, so.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's vote. I just want to make a note that we're doing January and February, one vote for both. So all in favor of accepting the financials?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, those pass. And Scott, I just want to say thank you. Not only do you put your effort into it, but you put your heart into it.
I do, Carol.
And I appreciate that. And it goes, we see it.
All right,
And I
well,
think
thank
the
you.
community sees it. So
Thank you very much. I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, reports. Carol, you asked for a report. You have legislative report for us?
I have a couple, I think
Okay, awesome.
three altogether. This one is a decision that has come back from the Muni League, and it has to do with a question that came up about removing an A&P commissioner. And this came back from Lanny Richmond, who is legal counsel to the Muni League. If an individual's membership on an advertising and promotion commission is challenged, which entity, the governing body of the city council, or the commission itself has responsibility to remove the member? He writes, "In my opinion, neither the city nor the commission is authorized by the act or other law to remove a commission member. In the absence of statutory provisions permitting such removal directly by the city or the commission, it is my opinion that there are three possible causes of action that might be employed to remove a member who is ineligible to serve: a quo warranto proceeding brought by the Attorney General, an usurpation action brought by the Attorney General or the individual, if any, entitled to the commission position, or taxpayer lawsuit under the provision." And I think this came up for two reasons. We have some rules that go along with being on the commission, and we're probably going to need to review them. It came up earlier that basically, even though you're supposed to be working for a restaurant or a hotel, really an owner or general manager to be, should you leave that position and not take another one, we really don't have the power to take an action, so we need to figure that out. There was another one that had to do with the rule that we had about if you, as a commissioner, missed more than 3 meetings in a row, you would be asked to step off the commission. We also cannot do that. And the reason is, I think, as they said, there really aren't any laws or parameters for that within the state. Okay, so that was one. Madison, I can't read yours. It's so small. Would you mind reading it? Madison, your question came up about, tell me what that was.
So the staff made a CAPC announcement group. This was just it was a simple way to start announcing things like, here's our meetings, or here's our list of events for the month, maybe some how-tos, like if you want your event to go on our website, here's how you do that. And there was a question from the community about whether that was legal or not. I don't have it in front of me. Oh, you're right, that is small. Anyway, our legal counsel from the Municipal League said, "I struggled to see a legal violation based off of the situation. I would, of course, recommend elected officials not have back and forth discussions via a web page, but it seems that is not what is happening. If this is a government page, then some of the information would be subject to a FOIA request. But that simply means we have to produce the information, not that we have to allow anyone to be a part of it. I would think that this is most likely a large email. The city has the power to decide who it disseminates information to, but will have to share the information when requested. Of course, it may be easier to simply let a person into the group if they want in, but I do not know what right would be infringed on by not inviting everyone to a Facebook group." So we're fine. And we allow everyone in the group when they ask for it. The reason why we ask members to request to join is so it's not confused with our tourism page. Because it's not a tourism-based page for tourists, it's for community members or stakeholders or whatever that may be. So that's that update.
And the last one has to do with the Supreme Court ruling in an ongoing lawsuit against the commissioners and others in the city. Basically, it was decided for the commission and the members of the city that it was legal for me to be a commissioner and be on the commission, and it was legal for our two previous city representatives, Melissa Green.
Well, you should also state that you live in the county, and that's a distinction.
Well, that was the distinction, but at this point, for my position, it wasn't a deal. It's a little bit conflicted, and our attorney actually brought, I think our attorney brought this out, that there are a lot of different AMPs in the state. And there's a lot of different rules because each group has kind of done their own so that they can function well. Like the 3 strikes and you're out thing that we had was just to encourage people to not miss so many meetings because we really need people here to make decisions and to vote. So I think what's going to happen is that the Supreme Court or perhaps the Muni League is going to try to get together with all the AMPs and come up with some rules that kind of work for all of them. So stay tuned for what's going to happen in the future. But the ruling was that it was okay for me to be the at-large commissioner, which I'd been told when I interviewed for the position. And I do live in the county. I've always lived in the county. Everybody else, I think, still is supposed to live in the city.
Correct.
Yeah, city.
And that's generally because they already have businesses here. The at-large commissioner does not have to own a business. They can, but they don't have to.
Thank you. Any comments or questions about any of that? Make sure that everyone... Okay, we'll move on. Madison, do you have a report for us?
Yeah. So I sent you all the Paradise Report last week. I think Ron's going to pull it up there, but you guys should already have it. I'm just going to go over some highlights that I thought were good. I know we have a long meeting, so I'm just going to go through them. And if you guys have any questions about the report that I sent you, just let me know. So on Visitor Insights on page 4, some things I thought were great was visitation and spending were both trending up. 73% of our visitors stayed overnight, and 79% came out from out of state. On page 5, we start talking about visitor and economy impact. Talking about 2021 tax collections, we had a 23.6% increase over 2019 and a 46.8% increase over 2020. On page 8, we start talking about traveler profile insights. Our in-market spend increases by out-of-market travelers during times of events at the odd, which is great. 78% of our visitors came from out of state in the last 12 months, and Little Rock had the most spend overall on accommodations. On page 11, they start talking about the website a bit. Basically, everything with our website is going well. Visitation is up. On social media, pages 12 through the 18th are on Facebook. Our impressions increased by 96%. On Instagram, our impressions increased by 50%. And on Twitter, our engagement increased by 64%. And we're going to talk about PR a little bit. Some February metrics, we had just under 90 million estimated impressions. And then our January metrics, we actually had over 7.2 billion impressions. I also want to give a little bit of an update. So we will have Paradise presenting at our next workshop for their 2022 planning. In addition to that, just so you guys, just a small little update on the PR side, we're starting to get some, I don't know if you would call them influencers, but mostly they're writers. And so what we do, we made this in our budget for 2022. We have a line for like media relations. This is for us to host these travelers. So they come into destination, we help them choose where they should stay, what dates they should stay, and we host them. So we would pay for for their hotel stay while they're here, and then they write articles. Now, sometimes that's not right away, of course, because PR takes a long time, but we had one, I believe it was last month, and then we just vetted 2, and they're coming within the next couple of months, which is great. So we should be seeing a lot more of those. That really helps our impressions with PR. Yeah.
How many are you going to do the month? Or is there a goal, or?
So our PR team with Paradise really vets it for us. As they come in, we had one, and his name is lost on me right now, but he wrote a couple of LGBT plus articles for us in 2021, and he actually he reached out to Paradise and said, hey, can I come back? And so I tried to get him to come for summer diversity, but he was booked, so he should be here sometime in the summer. Just as long as we think it's beneficial for us, if it makes sense for us to pay to host them and all of that, if the impressions are there and, the outreach is there, as long as that's all there, I want to do it,
Yeah.
because I think it's great.
Yeah.
So,
Anything organic like that is
I
always
agree.
well received.
and then so his article might go out in whatever publication that might be, but then it gets picked up and picked up and picked up, and so that's awesome. So as many as I can get.
What's
I have
the-
no cap.
What's the budget? Do we have a budget for that? Do you
I can
do you
tell you.
remember? Okay. I was just curious.
So, actually in Molly's handout, the back page is our budget. So let me find it here.
Hey, Madison, just
Yeah.
just to clarify, you're not suggesting you're assisting them find lodging?
Yes.
You're not you're letting them make the choice, right?
Yeah, so they tell us,
I don't think
sometimes we
we should
suggest,
influence anyone in their decision as to where they should stay.
yeah, sometimes we
Just to be fair to
suggest
everyone.
dates based off of how they write
that's
and things like that. But
That's fine.
typically, they know where they want to stay.
I just wanted to clarify because the way that you stated it, I didn't want it to
Thank you for that.
become a problem, that you assist them in making sure that they can book somewhere, but they need to be making the choice, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to find it in our budget so I can show you guys where it's at. Either way, I'll send it to you guys later so you understand.
But am I right in thinking that we had a budget that was specific?
We have a line on our budget for it.
For that?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
So, and
Just
we
in an
kept it
update.
low because this is the first year we're really
It's the first year for us to do that.
pursuing it, yes.
Yeah.
And so it's already the end of March and we have 3. So if possible, we may eventually ask for that budget to be increased, but it's going well right now.
Is that tourism outreach or media visits?
Media visits, that's where it is.
Okay. You got more in your report?
Nope, I'm good unless you guys have questions for me.
Thank you,
Questions?
Madison.
Comment?
Thank you.
Anybody? Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. Molly?
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Molly.
Hi. So you guys all have my staff report. Ron should have that up on the screen in just a little bit, but we'll start with the odd. So last week, as Scott mentioned, it was a great week for us. We have the Opera in the Ozarks Alumni Recital on the 20th, Lyle Lovett on the 23rd, and then Marshall Tucker Band on the 25th. So it was a full week for us. And you all can flip to the auditorium profit margins in your packet. So I went ahead and lumped together Lyle Lovett and Marshall Tucker just because all of the inventory that we got was for both shows. So you'll see that our total revenue was $13,509, and then our total expenses for labor and inventory was $7,429.85, which comes to our total profit of $6,079.15. So that includes, of course, concessions, rental, labor, and inventory.
Definitely a different concession crowd for the Marshall Tucker Band.
Right.
How many people did you end up having?
Yeah, so for Lyle Lovett, we had 707, and then for Marshall Tucker, we had 862. So like you said, a little bit of a different crowd in the way they purchase and consume. Another update on the auditorium, we have Coco Peru coming this Saturday, which we're super excited for. And a lot of other events coming up with the auditorium I'll keep you all updated on. So then now we'll go to the overview of the Balm of Life series. Formerly known as Music in the Park, we're doing the Balm of Life series in Basin Spring Park. So that's going to include drumming, dancing, and music. And you can see for drumming, of course, a staple in Eureka. Angelo will come, and it's going to be through April through September, the first Saturday of each month. Then we have the Melonite Ballroom. They're going to come do dancing in the park. So we'll do like a swing lesson, a ballroom lesson. That'll be about 2 hours, looking at the second Saturday of each month. And then music, I hope it's not going to be as structured. It's a loose outline of just good weekends to have music or performers in the park. So I'm looking at right now 13 weekends, but that can always expand. Every Friday or Saturday, I hope to extend to Thursdays or Sundays as well. And then, of course, varying genres with new and returning names. So if you all will flip to the budget for the Falmouth Life series.
So you're proposing, right, so that everyone kind of sees what, because last year we had a budget for drumming, we had a budget
Yes.
for music in the park that was separate.
So
And so you're wanting
previously-
to add these all together and
Yes.
create one, okay.
So it was previously $25,000, but we have a line for Fat Tire, which isn't happening this year, which is still an events line. So that's $7,500 we're hoping to move to music in the park. And then we had a line for drumming in the park, which was $3,000, which we'll only be using $1,800 of. So I just kind of want to combine all of those together and then have the music, dancing, drumming, and then we actually didn't have an advertising budget for the previous year. I think that would really boost our attendance and
Yeah.
recognition across social.
Agreed. Thoughts
So,
on this?
Yeah.
Is this something we would have to vote on today?
Why is Fat Tire not coming? Or is that just kind of fell through this year?
It kind of fell through this year. We had it already in our budget, but since those funds won't be allocated this year, since there's no event, it might as well go back into the
So
events
that's a
budget.
joint effort with Parks?
Yeah.
And Parks canceled. They took it out of their budget after, so, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
So they're running the ship on that, so they canceled it. So we have $7,500 in that line
Yeah. I
that
think
we
this is
can
a great way to
move.
spend it.
And so I like this idea. I like the fact that last year the music event was great, but we didn't have any marketing money to tell people to come. This year, we'll have $5,000 to tell people to come to the show, and that's what we're here for, bring people to town. So I like this a lot.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve $35,000 to Balm of Life Series Music in the Park.
Okay?
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, $35,500.
$35,500.
I'll also second that.
Okay?
Any questions?
Any discussion on that, you guys? And we're okay with an up
I
and
think
down
it's
vote on
smart.
this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Glad to see it back.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Continue
Thank
with
you.
your report. Let's see if you've got more. Do you have more?
We're good.
Molly got it? She's good to go.
Another example of reorganizing the finances that needed to happen. It's fine tuning and,
Absolutely.
so it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this is where we get into the bulk of our meeting, agenda updates. Okay, let's move to old business, and we got Folk Festival. Madison, is that you?
Yeah. So you guys will see a handout here. Molly was awesome at making this. Originally, we had talked about possibly moving the dates of Folk Fest around. I think we've decided that we want to keep it in November. So the dates right now are November 10th, 11th, and 12th, with the possibility of doing something on Sunday. But those are the dates we're focusing on. You can see at the top, that's kind of our breakdown there. We want to have 3 headliners in the auditorium. The Barefoot Ball on Thursday. We want to have an art fair Friday and Saturday. My hope is that we can do that in the auditorium basement.
Is that the first event?
Well, okay, I hope it's not the first event, but it's very possible. It may or may not be the first event in the basement. So then you'll see the budget below. There's been a few tweaks and changes, but not much. This is really just an update for you guys so you can understand what we're going for here. We're going to start probably next week trying to book headliners and acts and things like that.
What's our current budget? Is it 40? Is that, we were already approved for this, right?
Yeah, you guys don't have to approve anything.
Yeah.
This is just a little update so you can see what we're working on here. If you have any questions or suggestions for Folk Fest, we're open and willing to listen.
Yeah, just to remind the commissioners, one of the things that the commission made a decision at the end of 2020 to any events that we control, which basically is Folk Festival, music in the park, drumming in the park, any of them that we approve, we have to see a budget So we have to see the budget for them to be able to spend money. And so that's why she's bringing that, is so that we can see where all the money's going. Okay? Any discussion on this?
I have a question.
Any questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
How do we determine that this, or any event, is worthy of this type of funds? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think
we've had this discussion.
That's a very,
know it.
it's a very important question.
Well, initially, we were funding things that could be self-sufficient in 3 years, but that's been kind of scrapped.
Yeah.
And we fund them as we see the benefit to the community. We're basically keeping this because it's the oldest running folk festival in the United States and has a lot of history and cachet behind it.
Well, I think, it is really a signature event for the town. I think as far as the commission goes, though, is we've got to decide to do this really big, like go big or go home.
Yeah.
Because, piecing it together like we do any other concert, that's fine. But I mean, we kind of learned last year, you really have to get out and work this crowd. It is an aging population, although Nancy told us that there are some younger people coming. I can tell you for a fact, there are a lot of people in this town that love that we do the folk festival because there's a lot of fond memories to it. The reason that I was suggesting we might move it to August was there is a man who's opening at the Guthrie Museum in Tulsa, actually this Friday, and he'll be opening a show at the Steinbeck in September. He wasn't available in November because I think that's a wonderful time to do the festival. What I'd like to propose is that we fund it for whatever it is this year. We kind of missed year before last because of COVID. So really, next year is kind of truly our 75th anniversary. And decide if we want to do it and put some money into it and hire somebody who really can run it and promote it. It seems like it has to be promoted at other festivals of this type. That's a good way to do it. And really make it successful and beyond the 75th year to think about it. I like the idea that it's the oldest running festival of its kind. We were just talking before the meeting, and, it might be interesting on a 75th anniversary to go back. The reason I liked the Woody Guthrie Steinbeck thing was that, Guthrie really changed folk music from just being what your grandpa sang on a Kentucky porch into really being activist type of music. And, I mean, Eureka's kind of famous for its activist background. I think we could make something out of it. Plus, a lot of people have read Grapes of Wrath or some of the other Steinbeck novels. I did take the time to talk to Writers Colony, Five and Dime. I've called the museum, the Historic Museum, a couple of times, and they're doing something right now about our folk festival. I think it would be really a great time to get people in the community involved again. We have a really good acting group in town. The museum is wonderful. So I would like to at least think about the next year. We don't have to vote on that now. I'm willing to put some of my time into it and, bring the people that I've spoken to into it. But I think it really needs somebody running it and an investment from us.
Well, I'm wondering if a connection with the Folk Alliance might be something that would help tie in that bridge between, the heart of folk music, Woody Guthrie, and that era, all the way to Bob Dylan, as opposed to bluegrass. I'd like to see a variety, not just focusing on country, bluegrass, or Americana, but bring in the real folk back into it. And that is, like you said, activist. I mean, it was hard times. Anyone who listens to Woody Guthrie can hear it in every single song. That was the people's music, and it was a voice. And now's the time with what the world's going through. But the Folk Alliance is someone that we could reach out to and find out if they have some connections for us that might help.
Patrick loves this music, and it's he would be great. 'Cause
Well, maybe Arlo will come back and
Wouldn't that
Do another one.
Actually, he's going to be talking at my friend's exhibition this week, and
He's always a good show. I've
He's
seen
a great
him
show.
twice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
So this year, Madison, all of the folk festival is going to take place in the auditorium, right?
That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want it to be focused around the auditorium. I mean,
So
we have
we-
the space, right?
right.
Fully utilizing the basement and, okay. Yeah, I think that's great. Okay.
That way, that's good too, because with weather, we don't have to worry about that
We don't have
back and forth.
We had a lot of
Exactly.
problems with that,
Yeah.
you know, with park people, park.
And I'll, for you guys who weren't here, the staff really did a good job last year of actually bringing us a report, how many tickets were sold, how many people were in town. So they provided that, and if you have that, you could send it over to them. But we got a report.
Okay.
But agreed, we should be looking at all the reports. And
Well,
that's,
and
in the past, we
history.
haven't. So that's an area that we are looking to do better. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so point taken. Okay, events. Carol, is this you? Is this something, this fee filing this year?
I think there's like 4
Filling
of
the
them,
year?
aren't there? 4 of them. Do you want me to do that one first? Oh, is this the marketing stuff? Sorry,
This is something Madison asked.
Madison,
I
okay.
think you had sent me something that you wanted on the agenda, or was it just Folk Fest?
Well, if we have a long meeting, we can
Yeah.
just skip it.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, we'll mark off B. Okay, we go down to new business, website.
Oh,
Madison,
okay.
tell us what's going on with the website.
Okay, so I sent you all a proposal today from Paradise. What you have in your handout, because it was a 70-page long RFP, is just the financial part of it. A little bit of background, we sent out a RFP for our website, and I don't remember quite the dates, the exact dates, but we didn't get a lot of bites. So then we started reaching out to companies who made DMO websites that we liked. So we started searching other DMOs. If we liked their website, we reached out to them and asked them who made their website. Anyway, so we came up with a few people. We asked them to send us a proposal. We gave them our parameters, all of that. One did not propose. One was Paradise. And then the other one proposed, but we disqualified them because it was going to take them 9+ months. The editing for the website, any kind of back-end editing could only go through them, and you could never leave them because of their custom code.
You want open source?
Yes. So this is Paradise's RFP, what you have in front of you. I'll let you look at it.
So we only have one quote? I mean,
Really
due to the
one quote,
circumstance.
yes.
I gotcha.
Now, this has been months in the making.
Yeah.
We put this in the paper when? Do you have the date when we put it?
I don't have the dates. I could get it for you, but we advertised it in the paper for, I think, a month.
Okay.
And we advertised it not just in local, just Eureka papers, we advertised it in a regional one. What I want to talk about is, in our budget, we have budget line 5005, it's website maintenance, it's $62,000. So about $22,000 of that we will need for the year for kind of ongoing website maintenance. That leaves us with $40,000. So we really need to add about $60,000 so we can use this proposal, so we can okay this proposal. I talked with Scott a little bit. We can do this from our reserves. We have plenty. Surplus, I apologize, our surplus. And that's fine. It's a capital expenditure. It would be considered an asset, so we're good there.
So you're saying we've got 40,000 we're not going to spend out of this year's budget, we could use against this fee?
Yes,
That's correct.
we have 40, yes, thank you.
So we'd only have to spend another 60?
Yes, we need to approve spending another 60.
And that would be for whoever we used?
Well, that would be regarding this proposal here.
Look, we know, so with Paradise here, from day one, the third year of Paradise was when we were going to address the website. It's a real problem. You know more about
Yeah,
websites than anybody
I'd really
here,
like to
so-
almost quit calling it website, because really what it is it's our online marketing component of our advertising and marketing for the entire town. It's more than just a website. When you say website and you're talking about these kinds of numbers, people are thinking, well, why isn't a website just $12,000 or $20,000 or something like that? It's way more than that because of the interconnectivity with APIs, with the ability to tie in with the State of Arkansas's website, the ability to tie in with TripAdvisor, Google. SEO is, some companies spend this entire budget just on search engine optimization. I mean, seriously, there's companies out there that are spending $5,000 to $10,000 a month just to get the top of the list on a Google search. And that's not just a Google search when someone says, where could I stay in Eureka? It's someone saying, I'd like to take a vacation where? And all over the whole world, and it points to us. That's some of the money that's involved in this. So it's really, really huge. The other component to this that I think I failed to realize until recently, and now that I do, I want to talk about it because we have a website that's been around for a little while. It's a lot of backlog. There are a lot of broken links. There are a lot of pages. There's thousands of pages that we don't want to lose our content because that content is still viable. It's still useful to Google. It's still useful to search engines across the world. If we just built a new website and put it up like I think a lot of people think that that's the way the internet works, and not to condescend anyone out there who actually does know, it's not viable. You have to take into consideration what content you already own. It's ours as a city, and we have to take it seriously. So we have to go and mine all of that. So there's thousands of hours of time trying to figure out how to fix everything that was not maintained for many, many years. Broken links, bad meta tags, all of that's embedded in that. So a lot of that goes into that. The other thing that goes into this is what they like to call the discovery phase. And if somebody proposes a website or a development like this to us and they're not including discovery, they are missing the mark. It's kind of funny. It's almost like a lawsuit. If you don't have the data to start with, then you're never going to succeed in the final product. It's just not ever going to happen. So finding out what we need, who we need to be talking to, how we can make this work better, and what platforms people are using. Is it primarily, people on iPhones and Android? We want to make sure that the website is compliant, not only just as far as ADA, but also for device compliancy. And it's a big thing. So I just want everyone listening to these numbers to take that into consideration, that we are talking about a huge component to advertising Eureka Springs to a modern, future society that is already carrying around a supercomputer in their pockets. Most people are booking our rooms at my place on their phone. And I've had to go and make sure that particular variation of our website is working perfectly because, I'm looking at, when I look at my reports, maybe 48% of people are not using a desktop, they're using an iPhone, and it's increasing and increasing, or an Android. So that's another component of this, is to have a company that understands our needs. I am partial to, I'm just going to say it right out loud, I am partial to Paradise because I love the interconnectivity, the ability to take our full message and then have it consistent across the board, because that is good advertising, and that's good money spent. So,
Given the surplus that we're seeing and the projection for the year is going to be strong, the other issue is that the competition out there will also be strong.
Right.
Yeah.
Technology is of the moment, so I say that we need to seize the moment.
Well, other towns are spending
I'll make a motion to approve $60,000 to go toward Paradise Marketing, producing the website.
Yep. We have a second?
I will second.
Okay. Any discussion on that, or are we done with discussion? You want to have
Well,
anything?
I just looked up something because I was in shock. So I just want to kind of share this because I think going forward, this kind of changed my mind about some things. It says a cheap SEO or website would be $500 to $3,000 per month. Mid-range would be $3,000 to $15,000 per month. A high-end would be $15,000 to $30,000 a month. and an enterprise would be $30,000 to $1 million per month. So I think the fact that they're building our website for $60,000 to $80,000, and even the $15,000 added to that, and then only charging us $450 a month is probably pretty well in that good range of like, that's a pretty good deal.
Well, and average
But-
areas like Branson, I mean, they've spent $150. That's like minimum
Right.
charge
Yeah.
these days.
I was
But
kind of
it's-
blown away.
It's more than
to be
website,
honest.
and I think that's the most important thing
Yeah.
to get across here is that it's really an online component to our advertising, and it's good money spent.
And
Yeah.
just to remind everybody, I think they can have this up in October.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to start work immediately if we approve this tonight, and
Yeah,
we'll have a new website in October, and nobody else is going to do that for us in that timeframe. We would be next year before we saw anything, and they're already working hand in hand, day to day with Paradise. This is a win for us, and so,
And it's open source, by the way. I did verify that by having a conversation with Nicole today. That way, if, God forbid, that, Paradise shut down, we would take it with us.
It's ours.
It's not proprietary to their systems, it is ours.
and that's a big deal.
We
Okay.
own
So
it.
I got one more question.
Yeah.
So when we're just needing to make simple updates or add things or anything like that, do we go through Paradise and are we charged extra? Or
They'll have a CMS,
Okay.
a back-end system that will even, hopefully, if we do this right, it'll coincide with if they get a CRM, a client management tool that will allow them so much more access,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What you're looking at?
Yes.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
And then I love the idea that we're also going to be tying in with other sites like arkansas.com and, TripAdvisor with full-on APIs. I mean, we're not talking just a link
Right.
back to them. We're talking data, analytics, going back and forth, which is really awesome. So, and something that
Great.
she mentioned when I spoke with her today was putting together a committee of some of us to help build that site, to make sure that we absolutely 100% get our needs met
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
people who
I
are
think that's so
stakeholders, but not
important.
only stakeholders, but we're also commissioners, and I think that we kind of have a good idea of how this needs to.
If we pass this tonight, Madison, why don't you put on at our next workshop, whenever Paradise is here, let's talk about a committee.
That's what
with
Nicole wants to
Paradise.
do, and she mentioned that on the 12th through the 14th, if
They'll
this
be here.
goes through, then we can
Sure.
start that process immediately, and that'll actually ramp things up even quicker. So there's a possibility of getting this done sooner.
Sure. All right.
It also sounded to me like Nicole had been hired specifically. She's a web
Well,
person.
she came from one of the companies that would have started at charging us $150,000, and most likely it would have been closer to $250 or up,
Yeah.
from what she told me. But that's the company she used to work for, so she brought all that knowledge and experience with her to Paradise.
Plus, her family was in the lodging business.
And she, yeah,
They
they owned
owned
a hotel in New York.
hotels in the Adirondacks. I think they still own it. So she's got a left and a right brain. I mean, she can talk and she can
She
do
can talk.
programming.
If you're
Well,
listening,
she's really,
Nicole, we love you.
Let's go ahead.
It's
We have a-
rare you
hey,
get that in
let's
one
vote.
person.
We have a motion and a second. I'm going to do a roll call so everybody knows where we're at. Nick?
Okay.
Here?
No, on this vote. Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, yeah. Autumn?
Yes.
Okay, James?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
That's everybody. Okay, passes. New website. Yes. Such a big deal. Okay, we need to update this procedure so that we can advertise for the vacant seat that we have, okay? So I'm going to let Madison go over this procedure with us, and then if we get this approved, then we can get it in the paper.
Yes, so this is the same one that I showed you guys before. Basically, step one is to advertise. Step two is to allow you all to have time to interview. And step three is for it to be presented at the next meeting for you guys to vote on.
Of course, I got some stuff to say. I am just totally embarrassed that we haven't got this done sooner. And I thought this stuff was already done. I thought we had already advertised.
No, we
There's
didn't
been no
vote on it.
procedure.
Okay.
We did that in a workshop, so we couldn't vote on this procedure.
Yeah.
Well,
And there was
And
no
our last
procedure
meeting
previously.
was canceled because of the ice, so. We hadn't had a meeting but once this year.
Okay. Well, my second thing is, when it says 15 to 30 days, that gives you an allowance there, where I feel like if it just said 15 or 30 or whatever you decided.
This is more, I made this because we literally had nothing. So
Yeah.
this is more of a suggestion.
So you
and
want,
so-
what do we want, 15
Yeah,
days?
I think it should just be a set
Did 2
day,
weeks.
so then it's, at that time, it's done.
I would like this to wrap up in 30 days, advertising interviews in 30 days, otherwise this has gone on far too long.
It could go on, yeah, forever.
Yeah.
So 30 days for,
Both
Just newspaper, both.
advertising and interviews.
Are we still considering the mail out to all the people that qualify for all the businesses? So that way everyone's included, and that's a lot cheaper for postage than for probably, I just want everybody to be included and everyone to get the word out, and they're not all reading the newspaper, they're not all,
Or even an email.
Well, trust me, there's
Even
not a
email,
stampede
minimal,
to
but-
sit on the commissions.
Email probably would be
I don't
the
see
best
how it's
way.
any questionable or debatable,
Yeah,
because it's just being
unfortunately,
fair.
this staff did not inherit the email or address list that was,
An email
least an
with
email.
our,
I think here's the concern, is that if we do send out an email and we miss somebody, right? Which is very likely to happen if we were to send out an email with,
I can start,
okay, now,
you guys should have a,
seems like we're making it up, and there is a set of guidelines here if you want to read through them.
For some marketing support for postage to mail these visitor guides out. I do think it's important to mention, I did hear a lot about digital, and obviously there is a large market of people that are not getting the message digitally, take them, or asking people to take them. The majority of these are being requested, the large majority. So these are people that are specifically asking for this information to plan their trip to Eureka Springs. Little Rock, the Welcome Centers in Little Rock, again, requested 20,000 copies, which we mailed to them. You know, just little things that come up all year long. The Bentonville City Welcome Center needs 200. AAA in Oklahoma needs 200. It goes on and on. So these are definitely requested. They're much wanted by the people that are trying to plan their trips, and all we're asking for is just a little bit of help to mail them out.
So 100% of this is for postage, is that correct?
100%.
Okay, questions? Anybody got questions?
Oh, we've been down this road before, and we decided as a commission not to do this, so I don't feel that it's appropriate. It's an outdated publication. Its size is too big. It could be made a lot smaller and more efficient. I just can't see funding it. though.
I'm with you
Well,
on
I
that.
certainly
The state has also opined on CAPC and Chambers' involvement together, and I'd like to make that a point also.
Absolutely.
And can I make a point?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I've contacted many years ago, them many times to correct the phone number, and it's my cell phone number for my restaurant, not the restaurant phone number, but they don't care, so I don't see why we would even bother if they don't care enough to make changes like that, so.
Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate your input, and I'd certainly be happy to get the number changed. That's the first I'm hearing about it. You're working right next door. I'd be happy to get that done. I'll let you know as soon as it's done. But, you know, I think it's important to mention that if you look through the guide, you'll see that the majority of the large stakeholders in this town, the business owners, advertise in that guide. And, you know, I certainly wouldn't think that those guys are making bad decisions. There's a reason that they advertise in it. It's because
Devin,
it's still,
thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
no problem.
We're going to move on to the next one unless anyone else has anything.
Do you want to vote on it?
If we're not going to give them any money, we don't need to vote, do we?
Well,
well, does anybody have,
Yeah, I think you have to vote. whether-
does anyone have a motion otherwise?
You don't have a
somebody
motion
wants to
otherwise?
make a motion, yeah.
No?
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we not need to make a motion to?
If nobody makes a motion, it dies at the table.
It's done, yeah, it's done. Okay, next, what do we have?
we have Jeff Danos from the Eureka Springs Historical Museum. He has 2 requests today.
Jeff, how are you?
Busy. Spring break was busy, which
It
is
was-
good.
It was busy.
We're catching back up, and that's what we need. So basically what I've got, we were just asking for support for two events, one being the Voices of Eureka Silent City, which is, of course, our cemetery tours. We are bringing that back this year. Very excited about that.
Yeah, good.
I'm personally excited about it because I haven't been involved with it before, so this is my first time. And then we have a second event that we did once before COVID hit. It was called The Witches Escape. And for a first-time event, I think it did pretty good. I think we had about 160 people that signed up, spent time in town. In case you're unfamiliar with that event, it consisted last time of mostly women dressing up like witches and going around downtown Eureka where we had different activities for them to participate in. We had shop owners were involved. We had entertainment for them. It was just one of the things that I'm trying to finesse it this year a little bit because I feel like we need to include some of the history somehow because we are the Historic Museum, and so that's our mission. So we are thinking about maybe tying in some stories about maybe some of the natural healers that we had back in the town back in the day. Of course, any women back then that weren't content to just stay in witches or things like that. We're certainly not going to, make anyone out to be a witch unless we actually have historic records of that. But nonetheless, I think given our history of the healing springs and the quack doctors and all that type of thing, we're hoping we can bring a little bit of that into it. I'm also planning on, I think, making it a little more like a scavenger hunt for while they're spending time downtown. So we'll give them what we're hoping to be kind of an immersive experience, that they'll be able to go around town following a storyline, being part of that storyline. And then we've actually been talking with Smith Truer about ending the night with a Witches and Wizards ball up at the castle up there in Beavertown, which would be a perfect fit for that event. So primarily, I think we broke it down. We're advertising, marketing support. The one for Voices is a little more because there's a program that goes along with it. And I think that's about the basics. Any questions at all, though, please ask.
What I particularly like about Voices is that you write a script every year, a new script, and you use local, very talented actors, people that will surprise you who have that talent. It's like my favorite event of the whole year. I really love it, and I've really missed it. The Witches thing, is Lorna going to participate again this year, Lorna Trigg?
I hope so. I'm not sure. Like I said, we're still working out the details. There's a lot of work we have to figure out a lot with that one, just because the former person that did it, obviously the director is gone, and it was kind of her baby. She's the one that put the whole thing together. So we're trying to figure out the best way that we can make it, I guess, more streamlined, and making sure that, that we have people going around to different parts of town, that they're not hanging out just in the auditorium half the day. We're trying to figure out, one of the problems we had last time was that a lot of the event relied on outdoor activity and outdoor entertainment, and so of course with the weather, what do you do for plan B? And
I remember the first year we had to cancel because of COVID, or you did.
Well, let's go
There were
ahead
a lot
and
of disappointed.
let's go ahead and separate these two, and I'll make a motion to approve $5,000 for the Voices of the Silent City.
I second that.
Okay.
Still like to discuss.
Well, there's discussion,
well, go ahead.
First off, Jeff, we love the Voices. I think it's an awesome thing. Curious, why is the last day of the event 10/22? And in past, it's always gone to Halloween. And I know that a lot of folks that I speak with, they talk about, really enjoying coming for the spookiness of it all at the end of October. And since we don't have any other kind of Halloween events.
I believe that the feedback that we basically got from the board is that they didn't want to compete with other events at Halloween because I'm in kind of a unique situation because obviously I have some experience doing Halloween events, and I happened to find out that the Voices tours and the Zombie Crawl were a little bit on each other's tails at some point. We were sharing things like parking over at what was the Victorian Inn. And so I think the main reason was, like I said, they just wanted to kind of steer clear of the Halloween weekend because it's just, it's kind of a madhouse, really.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion on this? We have a motion and a second to fund that for $5,000. So, Nick,
Yes.
Autumn,
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, congratulations. Let's go
Thank
to
you.
the next one.
I'll make a
I vote
motion
yes
to
too,
approve
Jeff.
$3,000 for the Witches'
Sorry.
Escape.
Did I ask you for your vote?
No, it's okay.
Did you vote?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Sorry. Okay, so now we have a motion from James on this. Anybody want to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, so discussion. I just have one thing, is that I just want to clarify to make sure there's not anything in our rules
about
for
two things. don't
I
think there
can't
is.
find anything.
Okay.
Someone had mentioned this to me before, and I don't see anything.
me,
The only
'cause I
thing
didn't
is that it says the maximum award is 5,000, but I think that's per event. So
Yeah.
it doesn't say 2 events a year.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're not breaking our own rules.
And, you know, the cabin that fell down next to your place, that was a Pinkley cabin, am I correct? The
Yes, it
Pinkleys?
was, well, it was Cora Pinkley Call's writing cabin.
Yeah, and
That-
she was a healer.
Right.
And so I would love to see that part of the history, because they used to own pretty much all this land, so.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's something that I feel like, honestly, before I started working at the museum, I didn't really understand why the museum was putting together an event about witches. And so I definitely took that to heart, and I feel like, again, it's part of our mission statement is to, you know, to talk about the history and to share the history. So we're going to figure out a way to include that in. I mean, we had a lot of incredible people back in the day. We had, like, you know, Pearl Tapman was an incredible, you know, doctor right here in town. And then, and I don't know, I mean, we may even manage to, if we pull in some of the quack doctor stuff, we could maybe talk about Norman Baker a little bit too, because he's kind of the guy that everybody loves to hate, so.
Okay, any other discussion on this? Okay, let's vote. Nick?
Yes.
Okay, Autumn?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
I just got one. Will you give us an update? You guys are staying open? What's your hours at the,
Yeah, we're still 5 days a week, 9:30 to 4. We're closed on Sundays and Wednesdays.
okay. And just to update you guys, we are under contract with them. They kind of operate for us as a visitor center.
Correct.
And so what's that contract? Is it 600?
It's $600 a month.
600
Yeah.
a month.
Yeah, and I do send over to Scott every month, I send over the statistics too, just so you guys know how many people we have coming through and
Okay.
that type of thing.
Well, why don't you get with the staff, and maybe every quarter you could just come at a workshop and give us an update
Okay,
for the visitor center. That'd be great.
okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, looks like we're down to,
We have Jay for his diversity weekends.
perfect.
And Jay gave you guys a packet. It's your purple packet.
Purple packet.
He's very prepared.
How much is Jay asking for?
I think
Asking
it's
for 5,000.
5,000.
For discussion, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve $5,000 for
I second
out
it.
in Eureka.
A second.
Okay,
Okay.
discussion? Jay, you want to give us your
Oh,
presentation?
sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, in your packets, you received the email letter in the funding request in your email?
Yeah, this one, guys.
Yes.
It looks like this.
So I'm just going to make it real
We
quick.
did.
There's an opening letter here for you, talking about what Alton Eureka is planning to do. For this year, again, about the $5,000 request. I've also included some information in your packet. In the front part, there is the booklet. We're going to have 1,000 of these printed out to be handed out to visitors. It covers our sponsors, all the events, wristband participants, and a little bit out in Eureka in the back. Also, there's the survey slip that we pass out. We collect surveys at Diversity in the Park every Diversity weekend, and we collect that information. There's another interview here that was given about Eureka Springs from the Thrill List this last year.
While you're looking, Jay, can I ask you when the Summer Diversity Weekend is scheduled?
August 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Okay, thank you.
Right past behind the marketing request, there was a letter from the CAPC dated January 23rd, 2020, in which out in Eureka was granted the amount of $5,000 for the year of 2020. Of course, we all know what happened to 2020 and 2021. I had been in contact with prior members of the CAPC, and I was told that that money was still earmarked to be used. So I did, this last November, put together an advertisement in the Independent, and I know Madison, this is something I have to talk to y'all about because Madison wasn't here, doesn't have that authority, so.
Yeah, I don't think those can roll over from year to year. I think the new year just clears the decks.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I was advised wrong then, so, but I do request, there's an ad in here that we ran in November from the Independent. And that was November diversity of last year, all diversity. Here's a copy of the bill behind it from the Independent News. I would like to request some extra funding to have that paid.
And
Since-
is that because you planned to do this, and then there was, they put the masking requirement back again or something?
Well, this ad was done for November of last year.
Right.
On the premise, the only reason why I did it was because I was under the standing from former CAPC employees that my earmarked money for 2020, since I had no events, would
Got it.
roll over. And since we did a small diversity from November last year, we didn't have any big events in the auditorium or the park, worked together with the local venues, restaurants, and ran that ad. And there was a great response to that ad. And we have another one coming out for this diversity weekend as well. So,
I have questions. Especially after Jeff did his presentation, it seems like you can do $5,000 per event, and he has 3 events here. One doesn't qualify because it's not like 4 months, I believe, in advance, but can we give him the $10,000 to advertise for
The motion on the floor is for $5,000.
Yeah, we have a motion for 5,000. James would have to withdraw that.
Will you withdraw that, James?
No.
Okay.
I mean, come on.
And then also, according to our guidelines, the independent, how far does the independent reach on their advertising? The guideline clearly has a 2-hour, let me see the guidelines,
It does, it says 2-hour.
2-hour reach. Anything inside that, it doesn't qualify.
They share, I know they do a lot of advertising at the visitors, places all over Arkansas as well.
Yeah, the state picks up their publication.
Yeah, that's why their publication has such a high distribution number.
Okay.
and one of the reasons why we used the Independent for this type of ad is a lot of people that visit will pick it up. And because we let them know that there's a full list of events on the back of the ad. So we're going to hit them with 2. One is the ad in the back, on the full back page of the Independent. The second one will be the booklets that will be passed out to those who purchase wristbands, attend other venues, things in the park, art shows. We're going to place those all around town.
I have another comment. I have worked with Jay for many years doing diversity, and I just want to say that he has absolutely combined the whole town in every single venue and made all of us feel absolutely welcome. And every show that you've ever done in our place has been amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just think that you've done a really, really good job with diversity, and I think that's why our diversity is so great. So I'm glad to see you back for another year. I know you've been out because of COVID and of that, but yeah, I'm super excited to see you back.
Thank you.
And I still say 10,000.
So let's vote on the motion that we have, unless there's any other.
Well, the motion from him, or the ask from him was for $5,000, and that's what my motion is.
So any other discussion? Okay, Nick, what's your vote?
Yes.
Autumn?
No.
Okay, James?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Okay, carries for $5,000 for out in Eureka.
So
Thank you.
just a quick question.
Jay.
Can he apply again for one of the other ones?
Or can I make a motion to give him
It's
another
not on,
5,000?
it's not on the agenda for tonight. I'd like to move along to the Opera in the Ozarks.
I don't know why we're always in a rush around here.
He's free to submit another proposal to the commission.
We actually have two, so we could actually do another 5,000 right now, because he provided one, and we have another.
There was only one
There's only-
request. So
There's another
I
one
would-
in this
I would
purple one,
recommend that
so-
Jay, that he go ahead and apply for another one and bring it back to the commission.
I don't think we should be that way about it, though.
Would make a motion if you would like.
I make a motion that we approve another 5,000 for a second event for Diversity Weekend in Eureka Springs, per Jay's request.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, let's vote. Nick?
Yes.
Autumn?
Yes.
James?
No?
Patrick?
No.
Carol?
Yes.
Okay. And I will go ahead and exercise my right to vote, and I'm just going to vote yes. We don't have to bring this back. Thank you. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Also, just real quick, out in Eureka's put together a small board, putting together for our 501c3 that should be coming through very quickly. I just want to point out some of the folks that are here tonight. We have tried to reach out to represent not only the LGBTQ plus community, but also our straight community. So on our straight side, we have Robert Evans and Miss Sinead Bro, who could not be here tonight. She's ill. Also, we have Raina McDermott from Three Bird Cafe, Cassie Cass, who represent the transgender community. Tonight could not be here was Mr. Curtis Miller, Brandon Odom, and Jillian Guthrie. And so hopefully next meeting we have, they can come with us. So thank you.
Well, hey, Jay, real quick. The way that this whole voting thing goes down, I just want you to know how much I appreciate personally what you're doing. We love it. We especially love PDA in the park. I think that's one of my favorites. Honestly, if I could go back and do all that again, I really would like to have taken a third off of what your original ask was for, since the weekend coming up is next weekend.
Right.
And advertising within, a few days isn't going to do you much good. And then do what they did, which was add another to supplement that. I think that would have been a better choice. I would definitely love it. I'm glad that it went through.
Yeah, we're
So-
advertising on social media, several other publications, regional publications out of Oklahoma City. We've hit press, as like the Thrillist. Did an interview. I had an interview with NPR about Diversity Weekend. KUF has interviewed me. Finished up another interview today for a newspaper in Kansas City.
Well, I'm glad it all worked out in the
Yeah.
end, but I just wanted you to know that
okay.
we really love what you're doing, and I support it. My wife and I just absolutely love Diversity Weekends. We
Thank
just
you.
have a
And-
great time.
In
Well, I
this
want
town,
them to
we're
know
all
that
on
I'm
the
stuck
same
on
side.
procedure, Jay, and
Yeah. It's a procedure thing.
It is
Yeah.
procedure.
and I'm just grateful as hell that we have one coming up, and it's one of the slowest times of the year.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do this again. I just want to do it today. So.
All right.
And we're, by the way,
Okay.
we're all on the same side.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you all.
Opera, sorry.
Yes,
Opera in the Ozarks, and I guess,
Yeah, I'm going to read this for any.
We don't get paid much for this.
The opera wants to do 2 more recitals. We did one on the 20th here in the auditorium. Thank you, Ron and staff, who made it a very pleasant experience. There are the Alumni Concerts that the opera has one graduate who's gone on to do great things, like the young man who's coming, who's very handsome, is...
Carol.
He is. He's gorgeous. He's going to be the star at Wolf Trap this summer. I'll pass these around. And one of the young ladies who's coming is teaching at Ithaca College, but she's running an opera program for children with disabilities, which I think is kind of interesting. So the graduates go on to do great things. Anyway, for the 2 recitals, they're asking $2,500 each. The average cost of the recitals is about $6,000. Part of it helps them kick off their summer campaign. It's very helpful to get some of the people out who are supporters of the opera, but also to bring people in from, say, Fayetteville.
I'm looking at the back page and the cost disbursement. We can't fund airfare and stuff like that.
Right,
We can fund advertising, but that's all we can do.
right.
Yeah, a little bit, this says portion of artist fees on the proposed use of funds here. I would like, before we make a motion for money, maybe we scratch that out.
And what is this on that says this request will not be considered until all requested information is provided to the commission? That's printed on this page right here.
On the, oh, yeah.
So do we have all the information? Would you like to delay this for further information?
Yeah. Would you like to update this and bring it back next month? I mean, we're going to be out of time.
Right, I think the first concert is April 24th, so the meeting's going to be after that.
Well, then let's just go with half the budget and do the 2,500.
For the next one.
And then hopefully we can get whatever we're short on. But these funds cannot be spent for what's listed here on this program.
Right.
So that's got to be made perfectly clear. So do you want to proceed with this?
Can we have a special meeting,
dispersed.
maybe?
Sure, no, that's okay. Yeah,
I mean,
we'll just do it next
you know, that's our bylaws, so.
Yeah, I would probably make a recommendation that we do it, James, we do half. I mean, I don't know, we're kind of stuck because, you know, there's some of these things, unless we want to just adjust it. Do you want to try to adjust it in the next minute or two and then?
Sure.
Well, unless you just want to do 2,500 for advertising, which is about the only thing you can do with the money anyway, so just disregard, we just tear this sheet off here, and that's not subject to anything of the ask.
That sounds good.
Will you have time to spend $2,500 on advertising between now and April 24th?
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
In May, there's two.
And then
There's
May.
two. The
I
May
mean, I
one
know
for sure.
people absolutely love anything going on at Upper in the Ozarks. I hear talk about it all the time. If you get the word out, they'll be here.
Well, there is a list, too, of people that, I'm assuming, that have attended all the concerts in the past that can get out
Well, usually-
digitally.
We can usually count on the lady that does the arts for the Gazette, Democrat Gazette. She did an article last time for us, a PR article, so I would imagine we can get her to do that again.
Well, I would think you would spend more than $250 anyway on advertising that you have listed.
I mean, it does say in our guidelines too that, you know, all of these have to be approved, so we could approve the $5,000 and Madison then could make sure that it's only on approved expenditures. And she could bring those, but that's,
I'm going to make a motion for 2,500.
okay.
If I can get a second.
Do we
I'll
have a second?
second that.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Any discussion on that? Okay, Nick,
Yes.
Autumn,
Yes.
James,
Yes?
Patrick,
Yes.
Carol?
Abstain?
Okay,
You can resubmit for the other.
okay. Passes for $2,500, and why don't you resubmit?
Yeah, I will. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you guys so much. I know that we had a lot. We had 2 months to cover, and it was a lot to get done, but we got a lot done tonight, so. Commissioner comments,
Well,
Nikki?
just one second, I'm so sorry. There was something up here that I had wanted to talk about in events. Can I go back to that? I will be really quick.
Is anybody opposed to that? It was on the agenda, and we marked it out, and now Carol's one.
Yeah.
Super quick.
I just need to tell you,
You can go, James.
for years, Bobby, who was on the commission,
You're complaining.
wanted us to do Polar Express every year. I understand that the train has been sold recently.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and we are going to approach those people.
Finally.
Yes.
Jeez.
Who
about
bought it?
letting us, I don't know,
Shake that guy's hand.
about using it from the Monday before, the weekend before Thanksgiving through December 31st to run Polar Express. Five and Dime, our local, very excellent theater troupe, wants to use it, and they will work with restaurants or a restaurant to provide basically cookies and hot chocolate and coffee. So I'm hoping that you'll think about it and talk to people, but we think it'll be a really good way to bring people in during the month.
I like the idea. I'm just concerned about the legality of using a private business. How's all that going to work? What is the legality?
Those are other things, we're checking it out. It just sort of came to fruition when I found out they were there. Also, the musical review that Jarrett Burke wrote called Eureka Follies, The Five and Dime is also going to produce that, and they want to do it in August between Jay's event and when school starts, which is the 22nd. And they'll be coming to us for some money, but my point was trying to fill the holes, so.
What dates were the Polar Express again?
Probably will run the Friday before Thanksgiving, because people come in town for the week.
Christmas.
Through December 31st, and it'll probably be Friday, Saturday, Sunday until school's out, and then they may run it every night of the week. Depends on the ticket sales.
Okay, awesome.
Comments? Nick?
No, I don't have any extra comments at this time.
Autumn? Comments?
Thank
Jane?
you guys for the odd stuff. I mean, really, we have like had booming business, everybody's loving it, great compliments coming back.
Thank you.
Yep. Me too.
I'd just like to thank everybody that volunteers to provide activities for the community and the city at large. I know, having done the Taste of Eureka for 9 years, what's involved in putting on events, and hats off to anyone that's willing to step up and make the effort.
Yeah. Comments?
It's kind of interesting. I mean, being on the commission is not natural to me. This parliamentary procedure, this meeting in particular, I think, is a good example of all of us up here trying to do things to the letter of the law. And sometimes it seems like, we're not really doing what we would like to do because we believe in the events or we believe in the town. But it's because we're having to do things just so accurately now. And it's for the good of the town, it's also for the good of all of us. And some of the pressures that we're under, those of us that are in a particular lawsuit.
35 questions I got today.
I know.